was yelling in the living room. And I walked in, and I said, let her go. And Katie said, oh, I was just joking. And at that point, Chris stirred as if someone had touched her or something woke her up. And Katie was still holding on to Laura's wrist. And I said again, let her go. She did, and Chris said, oh, Katie, you shouldn't do that to your sister. And that was it. There was no discipline. There was no checking to make sure that Laura was okay. Christine rather just turned around and went back to stirring the soup.
If I could add to that, Christine, when we had first moved in, I mentioned it this morning, I'll say it again, she was taking prescription drugs. I was looking for a coffee cup in the cupboard, and as I was moving the cups around, I came across several drugs prescribed by doctors for her. There was Xanax, Lexapro, Wellbutrin, Paxil, and codeine. I affectionately called her. I asked her, I said, what are these for, Chris? So I need them to take the edge off. Well, if you have children, I know they'll drive you to, whatever sometimes, but you don't run the drugs that great to solve your problems. You help them, you love them, you direct them.
Now, I believe you had told me that she actually left some of these pills laying around where the children could get a hold of them. Is that?
Yes. Yes. After she filed for a protection from abuse order against my son, after that was heard in court and they decided there was no abuse, we went back to the house, to his house, where she had been staying with the four children, the four children, and all over, on the floor, next to the stove, under the dishwasher, under the refrigerator, in places where children could easily get to them. There were all kinds of pills, pretty fluorescent pink pills, and red ones, and green ones, and yellow ones. I have no idea what they were.
Now you were living in the same house with them at this point in time.
I'm sorry, say it again?
Were you living in the same house with your son and his wife and children?
No. That was we lived with them between 2003 and 2004. The PFA was 2006, January 2006. And she was to bring the children to the house to reunite with their dad after she had kidnapped them on the 2nd. She just took them and disappeared. Were they separated? Were they going through marital problems here and she just left, or
She took the family van. She picked up the children. She even took the family dog, stating that she's going to see her mother. She wants to have the grandchildren see the grandmother for the last time because she's on her deathbed. Well, she's an excellent con artist and liar. We called several of the people, her husband, her former husband. They know anything about it? No, everyone's fine. And throughout all this, she was calling our home in her normal space cadet way, erratic, incoherent, and we tried to please Chris. We're asking her, please bring the children to a police department, a hospital, please, in God's name, help do something, help leave the children. We'll get them, we'll come. All through the day this happened. She would call, hang up. This is verified. We have a private investigator we hired as well. we were told that we could pick them up at the parking lot of the state police barracks.
Okay, all right. I'm not following you here. Just a second, Tom. I'm not following you here. It's like all of a sudden you've gone from a happy home, a balanced home, to being gone. We got to take a break. We'll be right back here.
Okay.
Hang on.
The inalienable rights of life and precious liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Now take aim and set our sights.
Can you handle the truth? Jim Phillips, he's a talk show host that joins RJ every Monday. He swears by Jim's Jungle Juice as his way of going camping and taking food with him so he doesn't have to start a fire. This wheatgrass juice with barley and spearmint is an awesome way to take a spoonful or two, mix it with a glass of water, and it's a meal. Wheatgrass and barley and mint and all-natural process where it's grown on 8,000 acres of land without any chemicals, without any pesticides. This is on the shelves in California. This live wheatgrass instant juice, you can get it for just $20 a jar. In California, it's on the fancy shelves for $30 a jar. It's 90 days worth of meals available to you for $20 a jar, plus $6 a jar for shipping. Call 435-283-3733. That's Jim's Jungle Juice or the Real Life Instant Juice. It's food storage. It's a meal in a jar available to you for just $20 plus $6 for shipping. Call 435-283-3733.
The views and opinions expressed on this network by the hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect the views of Liberty Broadcasting Network, its sponsors, affiliates, or hosts.
Being a part of Life Change Tea has been an exhilarating experience. I love the testimonies. Julie in New York writes, I love this product. I feel great. It worked immediately. You can feel the cleansing right away. Other products don't work right away like this one does. Mrs. Luella from Missouri writes, my daughter has lost 27 pounds. She loves the tea. And David from Tennessee writes, my wife has a lot of digestive problems and the tea really helps her a lot. I like it too. And here's my favorite from CJ in Minnesota. He writes, this stuff really works. No, I mean it really works. No, I mean it really works. Be one of the many testimonies that we receive every month. Order today online at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. You know the number, 928-308-0408. Be our next testimony. You love us, and we love you.
Thank you for listening.
When looking at your personal preparedness level, remember the freeze-dry guide. During times of physical and emotional stress like the uncertain times we live in today, it is vital that you not alter your diet too much. You should only store what you usually eat, because one day you may have to eat only what you have stored. Lucky for you, there's the freeze-dry guide. Featuring the superior nutrition and taste you've come to expect, the freeze-dry guide has a wide variety of choices in freeze-dried foods. All freeze-dried foods are no-cook products requiring only hot water and a few minutes of your time. The freeze-dry guide has been serving various government agencies as well as the private sector with the finest in freeze-dried storable foods and emergency rations since 1970. Consider the technological advances made in computers from the punch card days of the 60s and 70s to the high-speed personal computers of today. Comparably, the advances made in food storage from the World War II era till now are equally great. Visit the website at www.freezedryguide.com or call toll-free 866-404-3663.
Refreshing the Liberty movement. This is Liberty Broadcasting Network.
My daddy served in the army. We lost his right eye, but he flew a flag out in our yard. Till the day that he died, he wanted my mother, my brother, my sister, and me to grow up and live happy in the land of the free. Now this nation that I love is falling under attack. The mighty sucker punch came flying in from somewhere.
All right, we're back. and talking with Tom and Lee about their daughter. Now, what I'm trying to understand here, you kind of went, Tom, to her leaving, and did they get separated? Were they going through a divorce? Were they having problems? Were they fighting? Was it because at this time you weren't aware of any abuse of the children? Exactly. I mean, maybe some people being drugged out, as I said earlier. People are on prescription medications, and they're more dangerous than the people that are smoking pot or snorting cocaine, I think. But what happened? How did this family situation with you've got a successful, your son's successful in his profession, and the wife has been working with him since he bought the business. What happened?
Right.
What happened to that family? That's what I'm trying to understand. Now I know people fall apart, they spread apart, but there's usually some kind of reason behind it, and I'm trying to understand those.
Well, between the time that they were married and 2006, when she filed for the protection order, I had seen some things going on. Like I said, the abuse of Laura by her older sister. I walked into the house one night, and Christine was throwing food on the floor, a filthy rug. The muddy dog had been walking all over it. She was throwing food on the floor, saying to Lee, who was maybe 7 months old or thereabouts, pick up your food, it's time to eat. And when I walked in and said to her, what are you doing? She looked as if she were about 10 years old, and she said, it's the only way I can get her to eat. And it blew my mind. You're a mother, you have 2 children already. You can't get this one to eat? You gotta be joking. Then another time she said, I was in the house, I was picking up toys, and I said, I'm just going to put them in the basket so that you're not tripping over them, and the kids can take them out later. She said, okay. And right after she said okay, she seemed to change, her expression changed, her demeanor changed. She looked as if she were either looking at someone hanging over my head or out the back door, and what she said was, if David's children are injured or become seriously ill, as their mother, of course I'll be sad, but David will be devastated. A few days later, Laura went for her MMR vaccine, that's measles, mumps, and rubella. And like the next day or so, she broke out in what appeared to be a rash, raised red marks all over her torso, not on her head, not on her neck, not on her arms, not on her legs, nothing, any places that could be seen easily, only in places that were covered by clothing. And when she got tired, her forehead turned white, almost like alabaster, white as a sheet of paper. The mask-like area around her eyes turned purple, dark purple, and her cheeks turned red like the spots on her torso. They couldn't figure out what had happened to her. They thought it was the MMR vaccine. David talked to the doctor said, no, there's nothing like this reaction from the MMR vaccine. They thought it was wolf spider bite. They were plentiful out in the backyard. But they said, no, it's not that either. They could not, to this day, they have not figured out what happened to Laura.
Now, what about your son? How you are seeing this? Your husband are seeing this. You're aware that there's that the children aren't being treated right. But what about? Did you talk to your son about this? What's your son's name again?
David.
Okay.
I spoke to David when I saw Christine throwing the food on the floor. I said, this is abuse. I've got to contact DFS, Division of Family Services in Delaware. But he reminded me of my experiences with DIFAS in New Jersey, Division of Youth and Family Services. In those instances, there was a little girl, maybe 6 years old, in Deerfield Township School. She had crisscross scars on her back. She had been beaten, and I notified the school. They notified DIFAS, and the little girl was taken out of the family home for about a month, and then returned. When I saw the little girl in school afterwards, she couldn't look at me. She was in a worse position after we told DIFAS about what had happened to her than she was before, because she not only was the abused child then, she was the one who told. After that, besides that, there was a little boy who lived in my neighborhood. His mother was an alcoholic. My children came in because it was snowing outside. They had been at a neighbor's house. They came home and they said to me, Mommy, Ricky's outside. He's by a trash can. He has on his jammies. And he's outside and it's snowing. He can't get in his house. So I went to his house and I slammed on the door trying to get his mother to come and open it so he would come and he would be allowed inside. She raised herself up on the couch. She looked around and she sank back down on the couch. I took Ricky home. My neighbor called DIFAS. And Ricky was taken out of his home. He was put, I don't know if it was family or foster care. His mother was allowed to have her camper in the driveway of the house where he was staying. After she went to some AA meetings, and she went to, I believe it was parent counseling or parent training classes, she took him to Florida. Was he in any better position than before? I don't think so. How could I do that to my grandchildren? How could I trust anyone in a child protective agency to help them?
Now, did you talk to the Child Protective Agency? Did they come out? Did they investigate? Did they do anything?
I'm sorry, say that again. You break it up.
What did the Child Protective Services do when you notified them that their mother was throwing food on the floor, beating the children, and then there was some sexual abuse? When did that occur? When did you become aware of the sexual abuse of the little girl?
Okay, in 2007, David and Christine were getting divorced. They had gone for a custody hearing. Christine, the judge gave them joint custody. Laura, who was about 5, told me she had a rash. She had just come home the night before from a visit with her mother, and she had a rash. And she said she couldn't touch it, so I washed her. And when I washed her, I noticed that her hymen was torn. Her vagina was open. And she said to me, as I put Desitin on her, that she didn't like playing with the lollipop. And I didn't know what that was. I thought it was a memory game like we used to play with. And she wouldn't elaborate. She wouldn't tell me what Lift the Lollipop was. She wouldn't tell me who she played it with. So I asked my daughter to find out. In the meantime, Laura started wearing multiple layers of clothes. I worked with women with developmental disabilities from about 1987, 88 until 2000. And the psychologist who worked with them from Violent Developmental Center, Michael Puskar, or one of his clinicians told me that people with mental retardation and children wear multiple layers of clothing, especially panties and underwear, to thwart their attackers, to keep from being molested or raped. Here was my granddaughter putting on extra sexy clothes, and her vagina was open. What she told Amy was that Mommy taught them all about the G-spot when they were in the bathtub, and that she had to do things to Mommy to make her feel good. Though Laura didn't want to do them, it made Mommy happy. But if Laura should ever tell, Mommy was going to jail.
Mommy's little secret.
That's when I found out about.
What year was this? What year was this? 2007?
2007.
Did you report this to the Child Protective Services?
I didn't. As I said, I didn't trust Child Protective Services. I also don't trust doctors. My son Michael was diagnosed with chronic appendicitis in, I believe it was 1984. He died in 1986 from acute lymphocytic leukemia complications. He was misdiagnosed. I had what they told me was a temporary ischemic attack. I don't remember what year it was. Come to find out, I had a stroke. Since then, I still don't trust doctors. My brother was diagnosed with gout. We came to find out that he had a broken bone in his heel. I fell when I was in Baylor prison. They took x-rays. They found no fractures, but I had extreme pain. There was pain in my head. There was pain on the right side of my body. The pain in my head seemed to increase with sound. I had an extreme sensitivity to any kind of sound. They allowed me to wear plugs for my ears, but they wouldn't send me to an ENT, an ear, nose, and throat specialist. So I suffered from the summer of 2009 until almost September of 2010. I went to Christiana Hospital when they bailed me out, and they diagnosed me with post-traumatic stress disorder because they didn't know what else to call it. The pain on my right side, my toes move independently, my hand twitches, I drop things for no reason. When I was put back in the prison, they decided to change my blood pressure medicine. And I took the highest prescribed amount of allergy medicine, and the problem in my head cleared up. The sensitivity to sound went away. Now, the pain in my back and in my side is still there. I've gone to other doctors, and I found that although there were no fractures, there are several discs in my spine or surrounding my spine that are squeezing it. In some areas, almost flat, and that's what's causing my extreme pain. Like I said,
All right. Let me get back to this subject here. Did the mother ever accuse you of molesting the child, or try to shift the blame from her, from the Child Protective Services, or anybody here? Because eventually you took the children, you and your son took the girls and left, right?
Right. We knew that she had been in psychiatric care since about 1993. 1991. And she still is.
Brandywine at Crossroads of Delaware, which is mental health and people that are alcohol or drug abuse. And we have someone that was in there at the time with her to verify it. relative?
Did she shift the blame to me? No, she didn't. We sent a copy of Grandmother's Impossible Choice to Kimberly Lawson, who is the legal advocate now for Laura Lee and Terrence. Miss Lawson investigated. She spoke to me. She spoke to my daughter. I believe she spoke to my husband. I think she spoke to Melinda Kula.
All right, hold on. We gotta take a break. If you guys would like to call in, you could do that at well, let's see, what do we got here? 800-787-5044, extension 460217. I'll give that to you again when we come back from the break.
People don't die of H1N1 infection. They die from system-wide intoxication and toxic shock. Doctors call it sometimes called hyperstimulation. Vaccines with immune stimulants and toxic drugs chemicalize your body and into your depth. Prevent diseases are infected. This number of different, especially when it's the flu, and what to do to save lives, maybe even your own. I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. Order Zeolife, the world's most powerful broad-spectrum detoxifier, immune system guard, and vaccine cleanse. Avoid vaccinations and drugs. Use Zeolife and oxysilver hydrosol instead to detox and de-germ your body. Stop the shock of toxicity and preventable deaths. Call 1-888-KO-GERMS. That's 1-888-KO-GERMS. Or visit zeolife.net and oxysilver.net and order your free report and package special.
The views and opinions expressed on this network by the hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect the views of Liberty Broadcasting Network, its sponsors, affiliates, or hosts.
The U.S. dollar is in so much trouble. According to the international forecaster Bob Chapman, he says the dollar in 2010 lost 23% of its value. Silver is one of the smartest things you can get to ensure that you are ready for whatever the economy may do in 2011 or 2012. Call Paul Drockton. His phone number 330-636-6292. Tell Paul that CJ sent you. Getting a hold of this is your way of getting prepared for whatever the economy may do, whatever the dollar will do, as the financial collapse continues to happen here in America. Ben Bernanke says a slow collapse is what they want. Tim Geithner says that America is insolvent. Getting silver is one of the best things you can do to get ready for whatever the dollar will do, whatever happens with the economy in America. Call Paul at 330-636-6292 and tell Paul you want some silver. Tell him that CJ sent you. Again, 330-636-6292.
Can you handle the truth?
Jim Phillips, he's a talk show host that joins RJ every Monday. He swears by Jim's Jungle Juice as his way of going camping and taking food with him so he doesn't have to start a fire. This wheatgrass juice with barley and spearmint is an awesome way to take a spoonful or two, mix it with a glass of water, and it's a meal. Wheatgrass and barley and mint, an all-natural process where it's grown on 8,000 acres of land without any chemicals, without any pesticides. This is on the shelves in California. This live wheatgrass instant juice. You can get it for just $20 a jar. In California, it's on the fancy shelves for $30 a jar. It's 90 days worth of meals available to you for $20 a jar, plus $6 a jar for shipping. Call 435-283-3733. That's Jim's Jungle Juice or the Real Live Instant Juice. It's food storage. It's a meal in a jar available to you for just $20 plus $6 for shipping. Call 283-3733.